Imagine a title that isn't automatically inherited, that can only be granted by a monarch, and that has been so rare throughout history that only a few women have ever held it. A title that has been shrouded in intrigue, complicated rules, and occasional legal confusion for centuries. An honor that combines tradition, symbolic power, and a bit of mystery. Today, we're going to explore everything you need to know about the royal princesses of England and Great Britain, their stories, their secrets, and who could be the next to wear this invisible crown that weighs more than you imagine.
The title of Princess Royal, although it sounds simple, has a much deeper history than it seems. At first glance, one might think that every eldest daughter of a British monarch automatically becomes a Princess Royal, but the reality is different. She is not born with it, she does not inherit it by right, and she cannot claim it simply for being the eldest daughter. It is an honor bestowed by the monarch, something that may or may not happen, and which has generated more than a few misunderstandings over the centuries. Curiously, its existence is relatively recent compared to the long history of the British monarchy. There were never princesses royal during the time of Elizabeth of York or the daughters of Henry VIII because the title simply did not exist. It was created during the reign of Charles I, thanks to the influence of his wife, Henrietta Maria, who, seeing that in France the title of Madame Royale was bestowed on the eldest daughter of the king, decided that her own firstborn daughter in England deserved an equivalent honor. Thus, Princess Mary, born in 1631, became the first Princess Royale in 1642, inaugurating a lineage that would be as select as it was intriguing. The title of Princess Royal works similarly to that of Prince of Wales, but with fundamental differences. Only one person can hold it at a time, and it depends entirely on the decision of the monarch. While the Prince of Wales loses his title upon becoming king, the Princess Royal retains it for her entire life, and no one can easily take it away from her without generating enormous legal and constitutional conflict. The current Princess Royal, Anne, retains it even after the death of her mother, Elizabeth II, while her brother Charles ceased to be Prince of Wales upon becoming king. This means that even as time passes and monarchs change, the title remains with the person who received it, and the next recipient will only be the one chosen by the monarch, currently Prince William, when the time comes. Throughout history, there have only been 7 princesses royal, and many women who could have been princesses royal were never given the title. For example, Charles I's daughter Mary is the only one who could be considered to have temporarily lost it when her father was executed and his kingdom declared a republic. However, following the restoration of her brother Charles II, Mary was once again recognized as Princess Royal until her early death. After her death, the title remained vacant for decades until George II decided to revive it for his eldest daughter, Anne, in the year 1759. It is interesting to note that even when there were obvious candidates, such as Princess Amelia, the title was not automatically inherited. This reflects how the privilege was not simply a birthright, but an honor to be bestowed by the reigning monarch, something that sometimes seemed as arbitrary as it was fascinating. The Hanoverian regime brought new titles and breaks in tradition. Sophia Dorothea, daughter of George I, could have been Princess Royal, but she already held the title of Queen of Prussia, making any other appointment redundant. George II then bestowed it on his daughter Anne, who held it until her death. It remained vacant again until George III bestowed it on his daughter Charlotte, known as Carlotta, in 1789. This Charlotte would live to become Queen of Württemberg and die in 1828, but her title was not bestowed again until 1841, when Queen Victoria chose to give her daughter, little Vicky, the honor at just 2 months old, the youngest person ever to receive it. The history of the title is fraught with confusion and repeated names, such as Mary, Anne, and Charlotte, making tracing the line of succession a challenge, even for historians. For example, after the death of Mary, daughter of Edward VII, her niece Victoria became the next candidate for the title, proving once again that it is not an automatic right. In the 20th century, Princess Mary received the title in 1932 and held it until her death in 1932, 165, delaying the possibility that Princess Elizabeth, later Elizabeth II, or her daughter Anne could hold it. Anne finally received it in 1987 after years of waiting, partly due to her tireless work on behalf of children in need, which made her a favorite of the press and a living example of the monarchy's recognition of the public services of its members. Like and share this video with anyone you think needs to know this fact. The title of Princess Royal is not only an honor but also comes with a unique personal and political history. The only woman who could have lost it, Mary, daughter of Charles I, lived during a time of revolution and civil war, her life marked by exile and the restoration of the monarchy. Her experience shows how titles not only represented prestige, but also political stability and recognition within a system that sometimes seemed arbitrary. Other cases, such as those of Sophia Dorothea and Charlotte, reveal how foreign marriages and titles could affect the granting of this honor, demonstrating that family and political context were as important as the line of succession. The process of assigning them also reflects the evolution of society and the monarchy. Previously, titles could be used strategically to strengthen international alliances, as in the case of Sophia Dorothea, whose position as Queen of Prussia made another British title unnecessary. Later, the title became a recognition of personal merit and service to the nation, as was the case with Anne in 1987. This shows how the British monarchy has balanced tradition, protocol, and personal recognition over the centuries, adapting ancient titles to a modern context without losing their historical aura. Currently, Princess Anne holds the title, and the next most likely candidate is Princess Charlotte, daughter of Prince William and granddaughter of King Charles. Although some articles have presented this as if there were a competition, the reality is clear. There is no other living candidate at this time, and changes are highly unlikely unless a catastrophic event occurs that completely alters the line of succession. Even little Princess Lilibet, daughter of Prince Harry and Meghan, is not in consideration for this title due to the clear rules and structure of the British monarchy. This reinforces the idea that the title of Princess Royal is not an automatic right or an open competition. It is an honor that requires not only birth but also a decision by the monarch. The fascinating thing about the history of the Princess Royals is how it reflects the combination of chance, politics, and tradition. From Mary in the 17th century to Anne in the 20th, each title holder has had their own unique story, with gaps in succession and exceptions that demonstrate the flexibility of the system. Some women, like Sophia Dorothea, were never appointed for political reasons, while others, like Vicky, received the title as infants, demonstrating that the symbolic power of this honor transcends age and experience. Each of these stories reveals the complexity of a system that has managed to survive centuries of social change, war, and political transformation, keeping alive a tradition that combines majesty and mystery. Thanks for joining us this far. Subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss our next videos.